Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your preview for Manchester United's trip to Sociedad in what is a must-win game if we want to top the group and not have to play an extra 2 games in the knockout stage against the team dropping down from the Champions League. So it's about making our life a lot easier in a season that is far from easy. And I think we will talk about Sociedad in a minute, but I want to get into this game in relation to how United approach it and the desire and attacking intent we go into it, because I don't think Sociedad need to do it. We'll talk about that in a moment, but they top the group. And remember, we've got to score 2 goals. We've got to win by 2 clear goals. 1 goal, I don't think is enough, is it, with goal difference? So I think we've got to go on there. We've got to go on there, win there by 2 goals. And yeah, look, can we go and do that against a side that doesn't concede many goals and is playing at home and is quite comfortable on the ball? I think it's a very intriguing game. I also want to talk about Bruno Fernandes, because I'm actually finally going to come round to this theory that Cristiano Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes cannot play together. However, I'm not going to lay the fault for that at Cristiano Ronaldo's door like many people do. I actually think it's a weakness in Bruno's game, which we'll discuss as well. But look, first things first, it's a massive game for Manchester United. We don't want to be playing that. So basically, the way the Europa League works, for anybody who doesn't know, is that the top 2 go through. So it'll be us and Sociedad. But if you finish second in the group, you play against you play an extra 2 knockout games, home and away, against one of the teams that's third in the Champions League. So we could be playing Barcelona or something like that. If you top the group, you miss that and you go straight through to the next round. So you're avoiding a potential pitfall against a decent team and 2 extra games in February. So it's a very big incentive for Manchester United, and I think we have to treat this game as a mini cup final. And I think that's advantageous because we are the away team, and I think that's advantageous as well. There's 2 things about this game that I would say. First of all, Sociedad are top of the group, and as long as they don't get beat by a couple of goals, they should stay top of the group. So that their mindset is protect what you've got. That's just human nature. The second thing is they're at home as well, so they'll feel that they've got that advantage. United are going into it as underdogs with a clear motive to go and beat them well. And I think that can be to our advantage because I think we've got better players as well. So it's going to be very interesting how we approach it. I think we're going to have to be brave. I think in any game that you're treating as a little bit unique. It's not a league game. It's not even a Europa League group game now. It's basically a knockout game. We need to go and win, and we've got to go and attack. And I think that it's almost, well, it's boxed off, isn't it? It's a boxed off game. Everything that's gone before doesn't really matter. And at the end of 90 minutes, we'll either have got ourselves top of the group or we won't. So I think we've got to go there with real intent to do it, with the right attitude. And I think it can be done, because I don't think Sociedad are going to go into that game with attacking intent and intention to win. Their intent will be to finish the game how they are, top of the group. So United have got to go for it a little bit, and I certainly think we've got the players to do that. I feel that there are a couple of interesting things about how we approach the game. We'll talk about Sociedad in a minute, and we'll talk about that Bruno Fernandes thing in a minute. But I suppose in relation to the team, a lot of it picks itself. I said before the West Ham game, it's a really interesting week for United. We need to beat West Ham and Sociedad. I suppose now you bring the Villa game in, because it is relentless. Sunday afternoon at Villa Park is a tough place to go. They don't have Gerrard anymore. I think it's Emery's first week training that team, and he will have a full week. It's going to be a very difficult game at Villa Park on Sunday, and we want to win that in the league as well. But we can't look at it like that, and I don't think Ten Hag will. I think Ten Hag looks and is honest about the fact that he looks at every game as an opportunity to win, and he'll go strong. It will be a very, very difficult turnaround to play a game like this in Spain on Thursday night and then go to Villa on what is effectively Sunday lunchtime, because it's a 2 o'clock kickoff. It's going to be very difficult, very, very difficult. But that's the situation we're in. That's what this season's all about, isn't it? So how we approach the game is going to be very difficult. Obviously, De Gea plays in goal. Dalot will be right back. Luke Shaw will be left back. Martinez will be left centre back. Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno will be the midfield, especially because Bruno can't play on Sunday. He will definitely start. And then Rashford, Ronaldo, and then there's 2 queries. Is Antony going to be fit, and is Lindelof going to be well? I would say even if Lindelof is well, and there's a lot of people out there that said that Ten Hag was going to pick Lindelof ahead of Maguire against West Ham, we'll never know. But I certainly don't think if Lindelof's well, he'll start ahead of Maguire on Thursday, because I think Maguire will have done enough to keep hold of his place, and has probably done that enough for me, and probably, I presume, most of you. There is a decision to be made if Lindelof is well, and there's a question mark about whether Maguire should play West Ham, Sociedad and Aston Villa, but I think he probably will. I think that Ten Hag has been quite consistent, that if you are in possession of that centre-back shirt, you keep it. He started the season with Maguire until he made the mistakes, then Varane got it until he got injured, and now Lindelof had it, and now Maguire's got it because Lindelof's ill. I don't think there's a massive difference between Lindelof and Maguire anyway. I mean, really, there should be a massive difference that Maguire's a much better centre-back. I don't think there's a massive difference, and I think that probably plays into Maguire's hands, that he played reasonably well in the second half. And you can probably put the first half down to rustiness. I think he'll retain the shirt and therefore the captaincy. So I think Maguire will get that. As for Anthony off the right, it's a fitness thing. If he's fit, he plays. Ten Hag loves Anthony. We need Anthony. We need him in a game like this. But it comes down to what we've had for quite a while now. Maguire's been injured. Rashford's been injured. Martial's been injured. Anthony could be injured. And if he's injured, he can't play. So if Anthony's fit, he plays. If Anthony isn't fit, I think you've probably got to play Sancho. Alanga, not for me in a game like this, and he didn't fancy Garnacho against West Ham, so I think he'll go Sancho. So we really could do with Anthony being fit, and we need to hope that that knock isn't too bad, because we do need Anthony at the moment. And he'll be part of the World Cup squad for Brazil, won't he? So I can't see this being a long thing. Hopefully he'll be fine, and we'll get some update on that pretty soon. So yeah, that's pretty much how I think we will line up. And I think in relation to the game itself, I think Ronaldo is very important in a game like this. Whatever the media and people think about Ronaldo, his reputation across European football is still massive, and he occupies the minds of defenders, especially in Spain and in other European countries, as we saw last year. So in this sort of a game, I think Ronaldo's key, and that hopefully frees up space for Rashford and Anthony. Casemiro, one of the best holding midfielders in the world. Eriksen, more than capable of mixing it up, and hopefully Bruno has a good game, because I think it's going to be about attack in this game. Yeah, defence will be important, but bringing it onto Sociedad, because a lot of people might think, well, what are Sociedad? Well, they're an interesting team, Sociedad. I think they're in, sort of mid to top of the La Liga. They were on a good run in La Liga. They'd won 5 games in a row, but they've lost their last 2. Albeit one of them was at the weekend to, I think it was Betis. They lost 2-0 at home, but Betis are in the Champions League spots in La Liga at the moment. So Sociedad are a team that defend well and don't score many goals. They're a bit like West Ham. They're a bit like La Liga West Ham. Not in the way they play football, but in relation to they're not big scorers and they're not big conceders. Now, one of those things great for us. They don't score many goals, but they don't concede many goals, and we need to score goals in this game. And of course, we played them. We played them at Old Trafford, and we didn't play particularly well, and they only beat us because of a dodgy penalty. We're only in this situation because of a dodgy penalty decision against Martinez, where he blocks it with his knee, catches the back of his arm, and they had a bloody penalty. So they don't score many goals. They've got some tidy footballers. I mean, I don't know whether David Silva will play. I think Yazabel is still injured, isn't he? They've got some good tidy players, but I don't really think... I mean, there was that chance where... I think it was from the resulting corner, the penalty happened, where they whipped in a really good cross, and I think Martinez took it off the foot of, was it Sorloth? And it went out for the corner that then led to the handball. But they're a tidy football team. Even against Betis at the weekend when they lost 2-0, I think they had 59% possession. They're confident on the ball, typical La Liga sort of side. Our record's not great against La Liga clubs over the last probably 15 years in Europe. So I'm not for 1 minute saying that this is a walk in the park. It would be a very... And what I will say, it's a very significant result for Manchester United if we can go to Spain and win. And I know we're expecting it, and I'm expecting it, and you're thinking about it, but it's not something we do. And you have to look at that, because football is about rhythm and consistency. And consistently, we don't tend to do very well against La Liga clubs. I mean, I remember, was it Bilbao under Sir Alex when we'd been knocked out the group stage of the Champions League and we dropped down into the UEFA Cup or whatever it was called then, and they took us apart. I mean, whether we really wanted to be in that tournament or not is up for grabs. But we don't have a great record against La Liga clubs, and they're more than most La Liga clubs are good on the ball. So it's going to be difficult. And I think I can see us winning 1-0. Whether that's enough to top the group, I don't think it is. It is it? But 2-0 is an ask. I think any game you can go away or at home and you've got to win it, and you can win it 3-2, 2-1, 1-0. But games where you've got to win by a couple of goals are very different. And of course, if we did get ourselves into a position where we did have the required score, and you've got 20 minutes to go, we'll definitely have a repeat against West Ham where they come at us and we sit back. So it's going to be a very interesting game, and I'm very excited about it. And it's a hard one to call. I think I'd predict we would win, but it's whether we can win by the right margin to put ourselves top of the group. Ultimately, I think that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? But I am looking forward to it, and I think the atmosphere will be good. And I think we do have to dangle that carrot that it's not all about us. Do Sociedad see this as a big scalp? Yes, it's Manchester United to top the group is a big significant step for them, and it makes they will want to win the Europa League. Whether they've got a good chance of doing that or not, they will want to win it because it's a way into the Champions League. So they will want to avoid that as much as we do. They will want to avoid that 2 extra games in February, and they are in position to avoid it at the moment. So, yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting for United, and I do feel that it's far from a foregone conclusion that we'll get the job done, if you know what I mean. I feel that. It's a tough one to call. I mean, as I say, I'm trying to think. The reason I'm stuttering here is because I'm trying to think of the score prediction, and I'm probably happy to say that Man United will win it 1-0 or 2-1, but their goal difference is better than ours. We've got a goal difference of 6, and they've got a goal difference of 9. So we've got to win by two clear goals. We've got to win 3-1, 2-0, 4-2. Obviously, we can win 3-0, but yeah, it just adds. It adds something to the game, doesn't it? And I think it's going to be good. And I think we've got to play like we did again. We can't approach the game like West Ham. We've got to approach it like we did Chelsea, away from home, and Everton. We've got to take the game to them. We've got to try and press them. Now, that'll be very interesting. I think the way that Ten Hag approaches this game is going to be so crucial. Are we going to attempt to take on a Spanish side by pressing them high up the pitch, or is that a recipe for disaster? Because whatever you say about Sociedad or Valencia or Sevilla or how they're doing year to year in La Liga, they're very well used to playing Barcelona twice a year and other teams that press. So it's a little bit like a Spanish side playing West Ham. They're used to playing Man City and stuff like that. So they're not going to be surprised if a team comes and presses them. And certainly I don't think Sociedad will be overwhelmed by us pressing them up the pitch. We might not play like that. We might try and play more pragmatic. We may even try and play on the break if Sociedad would allow us to do that. So we're very much going into the lion's den in the sense that we're the away team, and it's such a hard game to predict because it's got so many aspects to it. We've got to win by 2 clear goals to top the group. We're playing away in Spain. We're playing against a Spanish side that's good on the ball. Are we going to press? Are we going to sit? Are we going to counter-attack? How are we going to do this? Set pieces could be key. So I'm going to predict 2-0 because I think it's a logical score to send us through, and I don't think that Sociedad score many goals, but all bets are off. It could be anything. Ultimately, I predict that we won't have to play the 2 extra games in February, and Sociedad will. How we get to that, I think, is going to be massively exciting on Thursday night, and I can't wait. Can't wait. But, of course, one of the things I did say I wanted to talk about, and one of the factors in that game, is Bruno Fernandes. He can't play against Aston Villa on Sunday, so he's definitely going to start on Thursday. But he's certainly a player that in the last couple of games has sort of fell off again. I think for probably a good period of time from when he got subbed, from when he got his contract, and for many games at the start of the season, he just was pretty average. And then I feel that against Spurs, he played well. Chelsea played well. And then it sort of fell off again, didn't it, against Ammonia and certainly West Ham again. It was just a little bit average from Bruno again. And I think there was some frustrating passes in the second half against West Ham where he's sort of inviting pressure. And it brings you back to analysing Bruno's game again. And how is he going to really? Next Sunday is a prime example of where we could have a more balanced midfield three without him in it. Now, whether it's Casemiro, Fred, and Eriksen, or Casemiro, McTominay, and Eriksen, or Casemiro, Eriksen, and Donny, any of those three might actually work out more balanced and better on the ball than it is with Bruno in it. So he's got to have a good game on Thursday. One, because he's a massive. I mean, he's been our captain, and he's a massive player for us. But this is a massive game. But two, he needs to have a good game, because on Sunday, if we go and win at Villa Park, there'll be people saying, look, we're a better team without Bruno in it. We've all seen that. We've seen it with Ronaldo out the team, Rashford out the team, Shaw out the team. There's been plenty of we're better without them in the team this year for many players, and it could be Bruno's turn on next Sunday. So Bruno's got to put in a performance on Thursday. And I think the interesting thing for me is there's two things again. One, is Bruno Fernandes an Erik ten Hag player? And two, is Bruno's problems Ronaldo? Because Bruno played quite well against Chelsea and Spurs, and Ronaldo didn't play. The 0-0 game before that was Newcastle. Ronaldo played and Bruno didn't play particularly well. Ammonia, Ronaldo played and Bruno didn't play particularly well. And then West Ham, Ronaldo played and Bruno didn't play particularly well. So it adds flames to the fires of people who say that Bruno's a better player without Ronaldo in the team. But the question is, are Man United a better team without Ronaldo in the team? And is it Ronaldo that's the problem? And I'm starting to look at this and I'm starting to think, well, why can't Bruno Fernandes play well with Cristiano Ronaldo in the team? Is that not Bruno Fernandes' problem? Because Rashford's performing well with Ronaldo in the team. Ronaldo came on against Villa at 1-1 and we scored 2 goals. Rashford scored. Rashford scores off the left again, off the bench against Ammonia and at the weekend. So other people play quite well with Ronaldo in the team. Why is Bruno's problem? And you know what I think it is? I think there's 2 things again. One, I think Bruno likes the long ball, and Ronaldo's never going to be sprinting onto the long ball. So I think Bruno loses a large part of his game when he looks up and it's Ronaldo. He wants Rashford or Martial, so he can ping a 30-40 yard ball in behind, which is a bit one-dimensional at times and isn't what Ten Hag wants. And then the second thing, and we all know this, Rashford, if he plays up front, doesn't drop deep like Ronaldo does. Ronaldo drops into Bruno's area a lot, and that is problematic for any number 10 when the forward is dropping into your area, because even when you do get the ball, the forward's next to you and not in the position you want them to be. So I think there are 2 reasons why Bruno and Ronaldo probably don't work that well together. But the problem Bruno's got is his passing is hit and miss, as we know, and Ten Hag wants a number 10 who's a little bit more delicate and controlling with the ball. So yeah, look, maybe there is a debate to be had that Bruno doesn't play well with Ronaldo, but I think I think Bruno's game needs to adapt. And Bruno can play well with Ronaldo. He bloody set up a goal for him against Ammonia, but that's not Bruno as a 10, that's Bruno as a right winger. Now, does Bruno want to go out on the right wing? I don't think he does. I think he can do a job there, but I don't think that's where Bruno's going to play when Anthony's fit. So I think it's, I mean, and look, there were goals last season where Bruno linked up with Ronaldo very, very well, but I think for the last 6 months, there hasn't really been that much evidence of it unless Bruno's been playing off the wing. So I think this is an interesting thing, because I think on Thursday, and I know Martial's back in training now, but I can't imagine Martial will start. I think he might be on the bench. It'd be useful if he's on the bench, but you can't throw Martial in when he's had so many setbacks with injuries. We've really got to make sure with this one. So Bruno and Ronaldo will be expected to link up on Thursday, and I think Bruno needs to just be looking and working with Ten Hag a little bit more in depth, because it's not Ronaldo's fault that Bruno's giving the ball away and allowing West Ham to attack us when we should be getting the ball out of danger. So I think Bruno, there's still a jury out on Bruno. Like, I think Rashford, Dalot, De Gea, they're 3 players that are really visibly improved under Ten Hag. A lot of people said in the summer that Bruno doesn't suit the way that Ten Hag wants to play football. And I think that we're now at that point where I think there needs to be a bit of an adaptation in Bruno's game, because I still think Bruno Fernandes is brilliant when we're playing like we did under Ollie in that first year when Bruno came in, where we're looking to counter on teams with pace. I don't see enough of Bruno Fernandes like I do Eriksen or Casemiro as a controller. I don't think Bruno shines enough as a controller, as a person who receives the ball, plays a 5-yard pass forward, keeps pass and move, delicate, control the game. And I think that is something that if he can do that, he'll learn to play better with someone like Ronaldo. I think Bruno gets his head up and he says it himself, he wants to play that killer pass. That's in his DNA. And that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that unless you are a team that's not looking to do that anymore. So I think Bruno needs a massive game on Thursday, because we will have an opposition who are not going to leave balls in behind, and we're going to have to be in control of the ball a lot, especially with the likes of Casemiro and Eriksen there. So, look, Bruno's got to learn to work with Ronaldo. I agree it can be problematic for him because Ronaldo does drop deep a lot, and Rashford doesn't do that, and Martial doesn't really do it that much. But Bruno needs to adapt to that, and I think that's the key thing. I don't think it's Ronaldo's problem that Bruno doesn't play that well with him. I think Bruno needs more strings to his bow. I think he's a bit very good in a counter-attacking team that wants to move from attack to defence to attack quickly, but he needs to adapt his game and become very good in a team that has 70-80% possession and wants to control the game around the edge of the box as well. But interesting observation that you might find there. So yeah, I'll go with the United win. I'm going to go with 2-0, which puts us through, but I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as that sentence. I think it's going to be all over the place on Thursday night, and I'm proper looking forward to it. But leave us your comments in below. Let us know what you think about the lineup. Would you make any changes to that? And maybe you want to talk about the Bruno thing. And please do leave us your comments on the game, because I think we've covered it all there. I think we've respected the fact that Sociedad are a good possession-based team. They're well organised. They don't really have any superstars in the team. They are sort of the West Ham of La Liga. Not in the way that they play football, but they don't concede many. They don't score many. They are well organised and they can play football. So it's going to be a tough ask away from home. And as I say, the interesting dynamic with this is that we've got to score the 2 goals. We've got to win by 2 goals. Win by 1-0. And I think we go out. We stay second. So even a win might not be good enough. We've got to win by 2. Which means we've got to approach this game in a very clever way, and I, for one, can't wait to see it. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'm back on the show tonight, live at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock tonight, because I'm doing the Champions League game at 8. So I'll see you then. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Smash a like, subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.